What's going on, guys? Today we are going to take a look at the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max portable power supply. Now, EcoFlow calls this a solar generator. I don't disagree with that, but this could possibly be my favorite power supply that we've ever reviewed. It might be the best of all time. I'm going to take you through all the features, details, specs. We're going to load test this thing. We're going to put it through some tough challenges. And there is a really cool scenario where you, in theory, never have to plug this thing in to charge it. I've been using that very setup for about a year now, and I freaking love it. I'm going to take you through all of that. Let's get started. All right, so let's talk about what this thing actually is. Who's it for? Why should you care, right? So some of you are in the market for portable power. This is definitely in that category. This is a larger do-it-all type device. So what I mean by that is you can leave this in your home as a backup that'll run a few things for extended periods of time. For example, if you needed to plug an appliance into it, it's big enough and robust enough to handle that load for short periods of time. And of course, you can run all the typical stuff that you would run off of a battery backup, electronics specifically, TV. If you needed to take it somewhere without power and have entertainment, I keep this in the back of my truck. And one of the reasons that I do that is that magical alternator charger system that I can't stop talking about because it's so great. I literally never have to plug this thing in to top it off. But also I've got it in there for camping, I've got it in there for power tools, I've got it in there for extra USB ports if I need to charge any of my electronics, and it just stays charged. I mean, if my vehicle is running, this thing is charging. I've got a cooler in the back. I can run this thing off my cooler for days and even drop that cooler down to freezer temp at 0 and it'll do just fine. So if you are in the market for a battery backup, this is a good option. I also like this in an RV situation. It's a really great off-the-grid unit to put in your RV, especially with that solar generator, because you're going to be able to use this in scenarios where you can't run a gasoline generator during quiet time. And it's strong enough that it'll power almost anything in that coach, especially the smaller RVs or the towables. This thing will do a great job of providing you power when you need it for the stuff that you need it for, up to and including entertainment. Oh, and also, before I forget, I'm so excited about this thing that I keep getting ahead of myself. We've got a special program code for you. I will mention that here if you decide that this thing is a good fit for you. Along the way, I'm going to make sure I call that out in the video, so make sure that you watch for that. And EcoFlow has done us a favor. We try to pass that on to you. I bought this myself. It was not a loaner model or a demo model. That's how much I loved it. All right, so let's just have a quick overview look at this thing. And by the way, I've got this in a case. I'm going to peel this case off here in just a minute, but I wanted to start with the case on so that I'm trying to be smart, not necessarily lazy, y'all, but I don't want to put the case back on, take it back off, put it back on, take it back off. So this is a separate accessory. It is a water-resistant case, and if you're going to use this thing in camping environments, for example, it's great because the power unit itself is not waterproof. And what I'm talking about are the buttons and stuff here, but they make it so that you can seal it back up and you can still see the readouts on the display, close all the hatches, right? It's specifically made for it. And they do make it so that this case does come off rather easily, as you can see there. This is how easy it comes out. Now, this thing is 50 pounds in my defense, so if it looks like I'm working a little hard, it's because I am. The unit itself, let's start on the front here. You've got your display. We'll get into the mobile app in a minute, but it's going to do a whole lot more and let you go into a lot more visible settings quickly than you can on this display. On the front, USB-A ports, USB-A fast charge ports, USB-C ports. So 2 USB-C 100 watts, you can charge a laptop off of those. Traditional USB-A, and then your fast charge ports, which give a little bit more wattage than the traditional USB-A. Moving around to the side, these are 2 extra battery ports. This is where you would hook up your, if you had additional batteries. There's also the alternator charger connects here. And I have this accessory, we're gonna get into detail on that. These are the, let's call them expansion ports, even though they say extra battery, you can do expansion on that. Moving around to the back, protective panel here, and it's labeled. So this is your charging speed that you want the unit itself to charge, fast or slow. Power input, this is up to 120 volts, so no 240. It's rated only to take 120 in. And then these are their solar connectors. I believe these are technically Dean's connectors. This is where you would hit attach their solar ports. You can dual charge this with 2 separate solar ports, or you can charge it with AC and solar. One of the really nice thought out things about this device is you can pull simultaneous power into the device to recharge it from multiple sources, and it will increase the charge speed. So they don't limit you. Part of that, I think, is because they've got fans built in and they can kind of do a thermal offset for, you know, the heat that's created. All right, and then you've got 6 traditional AC adapter ports. So there's your 12 volt port. They do make a trolley for it. You can buy that. I don't have it, but you can buy it from their online store if you're interested in moving this thing around without all the heavy lifting. All right, some product specs on this thing. Number 1, 5-year warranty. So just right out of the gate, 5-year warranty. EcoFlow says you can expect it to have a 10-year lifespan with the batteries that it comes with. It weighs about 50 pounds. It's quiet. There's really no noise unless the fans are running in a warm environment. I've seen them kick on around 90 degrees. So if the ambient temp in the unit gets above 90, especially if it's in the case, the fans will kick on. Without the fans, it's completely silent. The output of the outlets, I should say. So the AC outlets, 2,400 watts total. So you've got 6 outlets there. Whatever you want to draw off of those, EcoFlow says you can pull a total of 2,400 watts with a surge of 4,800 watts. So if you have, for example, a small air conditioner or something with a compressor in it that's going to kick on and spike but then level back off, it can handle up to a 4,800 watt surge. They do have an X boost feature that you can turn on, and that will put you at 3,400 watts for a little bit more than just the surge period. It'll stay up there longer. Of course, it's going to drain your batteries faster. On the USB-A ports, they're 5 volts. They'll do 12 watts each, so 12 watts per port, not combined, which is a lot of your power bricks, a lot of your wall adapters. It's a combined total. These are separate, 12 watts each. And then the fast charge will do up to 18 watts max. The 2 USB-C ports, 100 watts max per port again. So you can charge 2 laptops on this thing simultaneously if you need to with those 2 USB-C ports. The AC charging on just the AC port again, it's just a 120 port. It will not handle 240. And then the car charging feature, which is by far my favorite feature of this, if you have their alternator charger, which is a separate, you can buy them together in a combo kit, but it technically is a separate item, and that'll pull 800 watts. All right, one of the other cool things that this guy will do is he will integrate with their smart generator. So if you don't trust batteries completely, and let's say you're out camping and you want to use them primarily so that you don't burn through as much gas in a generator, or you're in a national park or some camp area where they have quiet times and you can't run a generator 24/7, this thing is actually, it's got an automatic gen start feature. So when the batteries get down to a certain level, and you can configure that in the app, there's a connectivity cable that you can use to sync this to their smart generator, which will then kick on, recharge this unit, and provide power along the way. This thing does have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi built in, so the app control will work both local, driving down the road in your vehicle where you don't have Wi-Fi, for example, or if you have it somewhere where you've got it connected to Wi-Fi, you can connect to all those. The batteries in this are LiFePO 4, pretty advanced generation LiFePO batteries. You're gonna see LiFePO in more of your higher end, like RV batteries, for example. They are more tolerant of abuse than your traditional lithium-ion batteries. All right, so I'm going to show you some of the things in this amazing app that I really love in terms of some of the settings and features that this thing can do. So we're going to go into the unit itself, and it's going to show me based on the current demand, in other words, the stuff that I've got plugged into it right now that's using power, the estimated amount of battery life that I've got left, and then of course the charge level. This will animate when it's charging. In terms of the input, all my different input options are listed here, and it will show me the various wattages of each of those input sources. As you can see here, it's got AC, solar, and then a second solar input. And then the output as well, you can see they break that down, so I can see what the draw is on the AC side, I can see what the draw is on the 12 volt DC side, and then my USB ports. And I have the ability to independently toggle these on and off, and you can hear there that it just beeped when I turn the USB side on. So that's really great. And then you of course can go in and configure some of the settings for energy management, how fast of a charging speed you want, and this smart generator auto start, and what battery percentage level you want that to kick in. That is a really great feature. And then you can see that I've got some of my device timeouts set here. I'll try to get a little bit of a closer look for you. So also in the app, this is where you would connect it to Wi-Fi. You can bind multiple devices, and you can see in here, and in fact, let me back out one screen level. So I've got my alternator charger set up here as well. You can do this by vehicle, which is pretty great. So if you have multiple EcoFlow devices, which I happen to have, you can organize them based on the vehicle that they're in. This thing can sit in my truck, in my garage, connect to my Wi-Fi, and I can check the status of it, which is pretty great. What about expansion capabilities? In short, yes. Now, keep in mind, before you go down that road, this is a really powerful unit. It's got a really big battery in it. It's capable of a lot. But if you need, for whatever reason, to add more power reserves here, maybe you have a dual use situation, for example, where like me, I keep this in my truck, but I want to take it out and leave it at home and leave it topped off from time to time, and I have extra batteries there so that I can power more things at home, right? So you can do that, and they've thought of that. And these are your two expansion ports here. These are, let me zoom out just a little bit here. These are the expansion ports, and this is your capability. Now you can daisy chain these. So let's say I have one battery pack connected here, and then from that other battery pack, I then have a cable going to a third battery pack. That is possible if, for example, like me, you have one of these ports in use and you want to connect two battery packs, you can. The alternator charger will charge them all, so that's really nice. And those battery packs that you can add onto these things are quite large. In some cases, they can add 50% more power. It is possible to more than double the power reserve capability, the battery capacity on this unit with expansion battery packs. It's going to be heavy. You're going to need a cart or a trolley or something like that to manage it, but it's certainly possible, and EcoFlow has designed for that. I want to spend a few minutes just covering charging capabilities on this thing, because there are a lot of different use applications here, and they've thought of a lot of good options here. This is one of the many reasons why this is my go-to. So you can charge by wall power. If you're in the United States, we typically refer to that as AC power. We have a 3-prong grounded plug here. It goes right into it. You can charge it that way. You can also charge it with DC power. DC power can come in a couple different ways. It can come in by solar panel. Now this is EcoFlow's bifacial solar system. It unfolds. It's pretty light and flexible, as you can see here. In fact, let me just go ahead and pull it out of the bag. You do need, if you're going to go with solar panels, you do need a pretty large array. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4 panels front and back. It opens up pretty wide. Anything smaller than that, this is such a big battery bank that it's really not going to give you the current that you need to put power back into it quickly enough. And then remember, you can also charge it with the alternator charger, which is an add-on accessory. And just as a reminder there, I'll put links to all the products mentioned here in the comments section so that you guys can have reference to them. The last one is by far my favorite way to charge, although as you can see, if I am parked for more than a few days, I do have other ways to bring power into this. All right, so in the beginning, I mentioned the possibility to have the system charge itself without ever having to plug it in to recharge. And this is a pretty great feature. I want to show you guys exactly how that works. EcoFlow calls it their drive and charge system, and it does require a separate accessory. Now, you can, when you buy it, add accessories to the purchase package, and they offer things like, for example, this alternator charger. There's another version where you can add an extended battery. So they have some predefined packages for you on the website where you can choose the setup that you want. This is the 800 watt alternator charger, and it is really powerful. I've got the hood up on my truck here, and I'm gonna show you guys how I've got this set up, and then I'll show you where I mounted it. I apologize for the camera shake. Let me just flip this around for just a second here. And now you do need to hook it to the battery, and they do give you a cable to do that along with a fuse. What I did, and you guys can see here, I've got a heavy duty, pretty heavy gauge wire here that I ran to a spot in the engine compartment that was available. And I put this bus box here. Now, this is optional. I just chose to do this because I wanted a nice way to keep everything separate and to be able to fuse things and deal with power, things that require power, and keep them separated from the battery. I'm just not a huge fan of plugging everything directly into the battery. That is a recipe for battery drain and damage to your battery. So what I did is I came off the bus box and I hooked up the cable that the alternator charger came with here, right here, to the fuse, and then ran that back through the firewall there, through the grommet, and then I ran it underneath the truck down the side here, under the cab, and then I came up inside the cab, or I'm sorry, up inside the bed and mounted it on the wall in the bed. And I'll show you what that looks like right here. So we've got obviously the Delta Max 2 right there, and then on the back wall that I'll zoom into here is the actual alternator charger, and we'll get a close-up of it here in a second. But notice, I'm going to point out as I stick my finger in front of it, there's a red light on it right now, and that is because the engine is not running, and that just means that it's not charging. It has a couple different modes. It can do reverse charging. It can also do battery maintenance, and right now I've just got it set in standard charge mode so that when I drive, it will charge up the actual Delta Max 2. All right, so we're gonna start the engine here, and then I'm gonna walk you back into the cab of the truck, and I'm gonna show you how this setup works and what it looks like. And yes, this is my 99 F250 V10 with about 80,000 miles original on it. Love this truck. So notice, first of all, right now, that light is green, the engine is running, the alternator is charging. One of the cables here, the cable on the left, it's a little bit dark there, but you can probably see that. That is the cable coming in from the alternator from the battery. And then the cable on the right there, I just have sitting loose here because I can move this around, and it goes into the side right there in one of those battery expansion ports that we looked at earlier. So that's how it works. Now, let's go back and look at the app while this thing is running, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in terms of the charge rate. All right, so this is our app. The engine is running, and I'm gonna go into the actual alternator charger here. Again, I've got these grouped by vehicle. I'm gonna go into my alternator charger, and you can see here, right now it's producing almost 800 watts. It's putting out 13 volts, right? And you can see that I've got the Delta 2 Max connected here, and then there's your alternator. And it's giving me the little charge animation, and I can see the charge level of the Delta 2 Max right there. So this is pretty slick. There are some other features here that I mentioned we'll get into shortly, but there are different ways that you can control the charge capability now. What's up, guys? So something really interesting and poetic just happened, and I know I've got the camera dialed in pretty close here. Sorry for the shaky footage. I'm in my truck and I was about to go out and this happened. I got a dead battery. So this is one of the cool things, and I'm gonna pull the app up here and I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna fix this. The Delta Max has got 67% battery left. I've got a fridge running in the truck bed, pulling off of it. We're gonna go into the alternator charger. And right now it's here on charge mode. If I can get a focus on that, we're gonna switch it to reverse charge. Okay, and it's gonna ask me to confirm that. And you can see now I've got my battery voltage here, which is low. That's not good. But, oh look, my light just got brighter. And I just hit charging on my battery, which is now up to 14 volts. Watch how fast, and this is a V10 truck, watch how fast this situation gets resolved. Now, that's dangerous, because you can get lazy. But in a pinch, that thing just saved me. And now I'm charging both those back up, and I'll be good to roll until I have time to deal with replacing the bad battery. Alright guys, so there's that old saying about necessity being the mother of invention. And had a couple necessities, couple needs here that I thought about trying to accomplish. So I'm at a high school football game. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in probably 7 or 8 hours. I happen to have an electric grill right here. It's a George Foreman. And I've also got the Delta Max 2 here in the back of my truck. And so I've got a cooler, fridge that's also running off that same Delta Max 2. And I thought, you know, I've got this food. I can make a burger right here. So let me show you the setup here. You can see the grill here, and I've got it up to temp. It's smoking. There is obviously the fridge. The Delta Max is right back there. You can see that it's plugged in, and I've got this cable going out to my Foreman grill. And let's take a look if I can do this one-handed. Now, I started, this thing was at about 80%. No, I'm sorry, it was almost 100% charge. It is down to 85% now, and it's telling me I got a little over an hour. Now that's when the grill is pulling power, when that orange light is on. So I probably will have a little bit more than that because it's not gonna run. It's just like an electric stove. When it gets up to temperature, it will turn off. So this grill is pulling, if you can see here. It's got about 55 minutes left. Trying to get my camera to focus here. And, well, now it's not pulling anything because the heating element kicked off. So of course now the time left is jumping way back up. Look at that. I just grilled off of that portable battery pack. Literally made myself dinner right here in the parking lot at a high school. Okay, we are in the kitchen. This is probably gonna end up being a video on how things came off the rails, but I've got a fully charged Delta Max 2 here. You can see if I hold the app up here, we're at 100% there. And it is time to heat up some lunch. So this is a microwave convection oven, and in fact, let me get the plastic out of it. This is, I believe, it's a 1700 watt microwave, and then the convection is 1750. This thing is rated to handle that. I want to see how it does. No better way to find out than to put it to the test. So we're going to turn the convection on first. We'll do that test. I'm going to set a temp 375. Tell it preheat. And I'm gonna watch the battery drain. Now, on the app, it immediately jumped from about 99 hours down to an hour and 3 minutes left. So it's driving it. It's actually doing fine. The battery is showing 99% now. And you might be able to, if I can zoom in on the display here, let you guys see what's happening. Whoops, sorry guys. So that is the current status. And now it's at 98%. So we're gonna let this thing heat up. And I'm just gonna let it run, and I'm gonna heat up some lunch, and we're gonna see how it does. And more importantly, I wanna see how much the battery drops. All right, we are to temp. So now we're gonna run a 5-minute cook cycle here in the convection oven. Set that timer. And we are off to the races. Let's see what so we're at 84%. And that, I would say, is, this thing's a beast. All right, so it's done. Took the battery down to 75% remaining, which is pretty impressive. Like I said, this thing's a beast. So I'm gonna pull my food out, let it cool. But yeah, that's a microwave convection oven test for you guys right there. Not bad. All right, so you might be asking yourself, why this one? Or you might be asking, why EcoFlow? And the short answer to both of those is, Jay and I have tried a lot of different manufacturers, a lot of different products. We've done video reviews on a lot of them on the channel. This is the best. That really is, for a multitude of reasons. The slightly longer answer that goes into some of those reasons is, the product is just more well thought out, from expandability capabilities to how you can charge it, to the app itself and the connectivity in that app, where you can do things like organize different products in their family with different vehicles in different locations in your home. And then it's just got really advanced features like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. I mentioned their support being fantastic. That is absolutely true. All those things kind of factor in to give this thing a really good score that puts it at the top of our portable power supply list. If I didn't need as much power, I would still go with something that is in the solar generator product line. I do have several gasoline generators. They're great, but they make a lot of noise. I don't need that, and I feel like this product checked the box that someone finally needed to get to, which was that it provides enough power that I can rely on it for days. And you guys saw, it'll power some crazy things. So this is ready for prime time. And well, guys, the time has come. Almost. We are almost done. Got a couple things for you. I did promise in the beginning that I would give you guys a code. You can find that code a couple different ways. We'll put it in the description. We'll put it on screen. You can also check our website at partscounterguru.com and check the show specials tab. We'll put a link to it there. EcoFlow gave us this to give you guys the best prices available on their products. So thanks to them for that. We'll keep it updated. And by the way, this is going to work for all of their products, not just the Delta 2 Max that I've got running my cooler. They've got solar panels that you saw in this video. I did a cooler review of the EcoFlow Glacier that they make. That's a fridge freezer. It's got a battery in it. It's got an ice maker in it. They make lots of great stuff. So if you're interested in any of that sort of stuff, make sure you check the link. You'll get the best price available. Also want to just tell you guys, thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing, and thank you for making us a part of your day and a part of your lives. We'll see you on the next one.